Hello, my friends. Diana Rankin here with your Friday afternoon message from Phillip. This week it's a tough question, but I think the way Phillip answers it for us will be really helpful for all of us whose hearts are hurting over the loss of so many children recently in mass shootings. Adults we miss too, but there's something extra harsh about the children. So our question this week has to do with how do we deal with that and why is it happening? We'll also, of course, get a message from Phillip. This is from one of my books. This is the Master's Book of Answers by Phillip. And in this book, we just open any page, and each page is a different wisdom. So we'll get the wisdom for this week. And for those of you who can join me live, I'm so grateful. Thank you. For those of you who join us later, it's always good to see your comments below. And thank you so much for the thumbs up. I really appreciate that. All right, let's get going here. Put my glasses on so I can read easier. Okay, the question is, well, there are actually four questions to this one question, but they're all related. Why are there so many mass murders in the US? Why children? Do they agree on a soul level? Do their parents? Here's what Phillip has to say. The United States is an angry, violent nation with pockets of peace. This is changing, but not quickly, as the motivation to change the energy lacks strength. To increase the strength of the energy for peace requires peaceful actions motivated by love rather than anger. This is not to say anger does not play a role, it does. It can be a strong motivating force, but to remain in the anger will not decrease the problem, but will instead increase it. What must be done is for anger to be cleansed so love abides. The same must be done with fear, which is anger, which is a form of anger. He said that backwards, which anger is a form of. So, want to just take a moment here and say hello, Judith. Blessings, Diana. She says, thank you so much. So good to see you, Judith. And hello, my friend from down under. She says, hi, Diane and Phillip, and to everyone else, happy Friday. Thank you so much. So glad to see you. And your world doesn't have the mass shootings. You've done something about that down under. But here in the US, we are still, it's horrible what's happening. So that's what we're addressing this week. Phillip goes on to say, how does one metamorphose fear/anger into love? It begins by recognizing the fear or anger. Once recognized, then one must ask themselves how to channel this emotion for the greater good. The greater good is that which is the spiritual highest good for all beings. This may require to speak out or to sit in meditation. It may require you to march as a warrior and shout, or to sit in silence with a sign. It may require you to write letters or to stand at a politician's door. All actions must be taken with a peaceful, loving heart. To do otherwise is to perpetuate and increase the anger, which is the cause behind the rage of those who are murdered. You know, I think we've all had those times in our lives where we just something just irritates the daylights out of us and we start getting angry, and we can feel, oh my gosh, if this kind of anger, if somebody was raised with this kind of anger, if somebody feels this kind of anger constantly, I can sort of get why they would lash out. Is it right? Absolutely not. And I can see where someone can lose control and lash out. That doesn't take away the pain excuse me, that doesn't say it's right, but we've all had those moments of anger. It doesn't say those who lash out and hurt others shouldn't be punished. They absolutely should. Absolutely. But at the same time, all I'm saying is a human being who's lost control and lives in that kind of anger that every once in a while we can touch the edge of, and only the edge of, probably. I can't imagine living in that kind of fear and pain. I really can't. But I've just seen the edge of it. And so I kind of get it. Kind of. Phillip goes on to say, love is always more powerful than fear. I did want to say, the reason I just told you, or said that away from what Phillip was saying, is we have to be able to catch our anger. We have to be able to catch our fear and stop it before it really becomes rage and we can't control it. So Phillip says, love is always more powerful than fear or anger. This is not always easy to understand because it is seen as being passive when the contrary is true. And you've all heard me say, love is an active verb. You ask of the children and others. Some of the children came into life to leave in this manner to call attention to the problem of gun violence in the U.S. This was their soul's mission. Their families, in spirit form, were chosen for this specific purpose. Note that this is not a human decision, but a soul decision made before birth. This does not negate the human suffering. In other cases, children lost their lives in wars and are repeating a pattern. They are caught in this pattern that they must heal. They can heal in human form in the next life or between lives while in spirit world. That one really hurts the heart, doesn't it? In other cases, the children have taken lives during other incarnations and are caught in this pattern. They too must heal the pattern. Also, there are those who wanted to leave human life and return to spirit world for various reasons. Life is too harsh, or they don't like this dimension, for example. Then there are those souls who agree to the circumstances to have the experience. Human life is about the experiences of being human. Not everyone wants to have this type of experience, of course, but for those who do, it is available. So Phillip has given us, 5 or 6 different reasons. First of all, some of the children to draw attention to this problem and help heal it. As a soul may have said, and the parents would know this, not at a human level. At a human level, we're going to grieve. It's going to tear our hearts out. But some of the children may have agreed as a soul to make it their mission to come back to draw attention to the issue. In other cases, and I think these are the sad ones, that children lost their lives in wars. And so the gunshots, they're still in the war. They're still caught in that pattern and have to heal it. And then in other cases, they were the ones who took the lives. And so they have to come back and repeat that pattern until they're able to heal it. And as Phillip tells us, they can heal it in human form and or spirit form. And then there are those who are just, human life is too harsh, so they ask to leave. And then there are those souls who agree to the circumstances to have the experience. Again, none of this is agreed at on a human level. We agree at this type of thing at a spirit level. Phillip goes on to say, from the human perspective, this is all difficult to understand, and it is painful, especially for the families and friends of those who are murdered. We can say all day that life continues, but the veil between the worlds is difficult to penetrate for most humans, so there is great pain at the death of one loved, especially that of a child, and even greater when the child's been murdered in a mass shooting while at school. The only solace for the grief is to turn it into loving action to help change the energy of your country. The only solace for the grief is to turn it into loving action to help change the energy of your country. And we need everybody in the world to do this, because it's not only in the US where people are dying unnecessary. Was it Nigeria? I just read about recently, a couple of days ago, of 80 people in a church. But the US has a gun problem. We really do. Let's get our message, shall we? If you heard left, I'm getting a stronger message from left, but right's pretty strong. So I always read both. But if you heard left, our intuition's in sync. If you heard right, make sure you pay attention to that message, because that's for you also. Okay, here's our message. Time spent in worry is better spent talking to your God. Time spent in worry is better spent talking to your God. Whatever you perceive God to be. To me, God is love. We are all part of this greater love. And to me, that's what God is. If you heard right, you become happy in your desire to make others happy. You become happy in your desire to make others happy. You know, we've talked about how difficult so much of this can be. And Judith, one of our friends here, and a private client who's become a friend, thank you, sent me a vision that she had, which is absolutely a beautiful vision after the latest shootings of the children in Texas in their school. And the vision, it was private, so I won't repeat it, Judith, but it was absolutely a loving vision. And that type of thing does help heal our world. You know, as Phillip said, going back and finding that, that this may require you to speak out or to sit in meditation. It may require you to march as a warrior and shout, or to sit in silence with a sign. It may require you to write letters or to stand at the politicians' doors. So we all have a different role in helping to heal the violence. But what Phillip is saying, whatever our role, we want to recognize that anger and channel it into love, and channel it into love. Okay, my friends, I thank you for being with me. I thank you for adding love to our world. And Judith, thank you. She tells us we can share the vision. I'm going to have to read it, actually. The part I remember, if I can recall, because it's been several days since I read it, and a lot's happened in my life in those last few days. By the way, I have a quick Daisy story. But what I want to say, one of the things I remember that Judith said, and perhaps I'll pull out the video or the email and read it next week. But thank you, Judith. One of the things she did have, I do remember it was a vision with the Blessed Mary, Mother Mary, blessing the children and gathering the children. And another part of it was putting flowers in the rifles, the barrels of guns. So Judith, forgive me if I don't remember all of it. Back in the 60s, I can remember pictures of peace marchers putting flowers in guns. Of course, that all stopped with Kent State, but that's another story. I want to tell you a beautiful story that has to do with Daisy. And as many of you know, Daisy crossed the Rainbow Bridge a week ago, last Friday evening. It was a long story. You could go back and watch last week's video. It was a difficult journey. My heart is at peace, and so I'm okay. My lip is healing. For those of you who ask about, Daisy bit my lip, and it's healing. It's fine. I had this urgency to give Daisy's food away. That's unusual to have that kind of an urgency to give Daisy's food away. But I felt so strongly I needed to give this food away. So I gave it to a friend, Allison. And Sunday, and that was last week. And then Sunday, Allison called, and one of her blind dogs was missing. Now, we live out in the country, and Allison lives on about 100 acres, and there are 2 ravines and 2 ponds and lots of woods. And we went tramping all over looking for this beautiful lost dog. Well, there were multiple small pieces that different people played and big pieces that different people played. And so the beautiful dog was found just a couple of days ago. He was gone like 7 days, I think it was, something like that, or 5 days. I'm sorry, with Daisy dying and then going through this all week, it's been a tough one. But what I want you to know is the interconnectedness of all of us. And so one of the things I did is I sent one of my animal spirits, a winged one, red-tailed hawk, to help find the Blink, the dog. And Allison was in a field, and all kinds of miracles were happening. And one of them was red-tailed hawk was flying over her. And a long time ago, many years ago, she and I were at a workshop about animal communication. And she and I had worked in rescue together. And at the time, one of my foster dogs, little Sheltie, was out running, trying to find her puppies. And she had just had puppies when I started. We don't know where the puppies were, but then I started fostering her. And Alice and I, at this workshop, had the same vision. And it was, she had zebra as an animal totem. I had a Black Panther, and I also had red-tailed hawk. And so she and I were out looking one day, and in this field was a horse that looked like a zebra, a little black kitty, and red-tailed hawk. And guess what? That's where we found this little lost dog. So I sent red-tailed hawk out to help Allison, and red-tailed hawk kept guiding her, and she found the animal. But here's where Daisy comes in, and this touched my heart so deeply. But I just, again, the interconnectedness of all. So I gave Allison the food, and then she called, and she's looking for her lost doggie. She found him with the help of many people, and including red-tailed hawk, many beings. And I saw, then she posted all this on Facebook, and the first picture I saw of her hugging her dog, she's holding the container, one of the containers of food that was Daisy's. And that said to me, Daisy, who knew Allison, was nurturing Bling, the lost doggie, the blind boy. So Daisy is alive and well, and she's nurturing those who, like her at one time, were lost in the wilderness and found. So, my friend, whatever visions you have, whatever interconnectedness you find in your lives, please recognize the miracles. We can cure this anger, this fear. Judith had this beautiful vision. I'm sorry I don't have a better memory of it at the moment. But what I want you to know, Aniket says, I will be taking a spiritual class for awareness and helping for 12 consecutive days. Thank you. Good. Thank you. And Judith sends more hearts. So my friends, don't ignore the anger. Don't ignore the fear. Let it come. And then exchange it. Excuse me. Exchange it for love. We are all so interconnected. And I leave you with this last thought. The blind dog that we were all trying to track and find, the biggest hint of where he was sitting, well, two things. One, a young man who had a business meeting, saw the information, thought, well, I've got an hour, I'll just stop on my way home from this business meeting. He stopped and he just happened to ask the farmer, who said, yeah, he's over there. At the same time, Allison and another friend, they were out in the middle of, we had tornadoes going through, we had storms going through. But again, this is country where there isn't much around. There isn't any place to go hide other than in the ditch. But had that storm not come through, that storm slowed the dog down. That storm gave them an extra hour, and that's the hour they found him. We can create miracles. Yes, we can. I love you all. Until we meet again next week. See you then. Thank you, Judith. Thank you, Annika. Bye for now.